welcome to Coach Talk. It is us again. Hi, LJ.
Hi, Dave.
How you going?
How's your week been?
My week has been epic.
Epic? I love that.
I like the word epic. There's something that just sparks off in my mind when I say epic. I get this big rush of adrenaline and dopamine and go, yeah.
All that comes to mind is four-letter word that you're actually allowed to say.
Yeah, I'll stick with epic. So, yeah, how was your week? What did you get up to?
Oh, wow. Super week this week. Well, let me see. Networking, working on our content, really excited for the journey that we're about to take. We've been putting together some really cool stuff in the background.
Yeah.
I have to let everybody know our website is actually live.
Our website is live. Go with it.
It's still a little bit under construction. However, you can now contact us, enjoy the podcast replays through there, find out a little bit more about Dave and myself, which is we want to hear from you.
You know what the fantastic thing is now, we're going to be compiling our podcast library on the website. So you will see when you jump on it, and please jump on and have a look. We have one from our last one, and this will be number two.
Got to start somewhere.
We've got to start somewhere. And then there'll be 3, 4, 5, 10, 50, 100. And you, as our wonderful listeners, will be able to just pick and choose and have a listen to what floats your boat. And I like to be a boat floater.
There's something about the yachties, isn't there?
There's something about the yachties. So
I think it's because they go with the tide and, you know, they just follow the wind and it's all good.
Tack here, tack there, jib here, mainsail there.
But they're always learning because no 2 days are ever the same.
Yeah, no 2 days are ever the same. And the thing is, if you can just get back up and just keep your life vest on.
Yep.
There's a lot in that.
There's so much in that.
So what we're going to talk to you guys out there today is we want to float something past you that we've been discussing during the week. And we mentioned it in our first podcast, and it was hide the body buddies.
I love that terminology for all that it conjures up.
Yeah, hide the body buddies, HTBB. So LJ and I, we were talking, it'd have to be years ago, we were having a bit of a yak about this. And just off the cuff, we were talking about, you're my hide the body buddy. And it sort of stuck. And there is another hide the body buddy that we know that we just resonate with so well. And do you want to give a shout out to our hide the body buddy?
A massive shout out to our hide the body buddy. She knows who she is and we can't wait to introduce you to her. She is on our guest list and she works in a really amazing space and she's doing some wonderful, wonderful things to help some beautiful people. So I can't wait to actually interview her.
Yeah, she's a wonderful soul. So you know who it is and you know who you are. So we are going to talk to her at some point, and she is one of our hide the body buddies. Would you like to discuss your version of what a hide the body buddy is, LJ?
Well, I think we talked about it last week, and Brene Brown sums it up really, really well. And I'm a massive fan of Brene's work because she's in the vulnerability and the shame space. But one of the things when I was reading her books was it's about who's in the arena with you.
Yeah. And
that sort of lent to this hide the body buddy kind of creation of our terminology. And it's about the people who you can call on any day or night to say, I need you. And they, no questions asked, they're there. And more importantly, they know that they can do the same back, and the reciprocity of that relationship is 100% there.
Yeah, sure. So just for the purposes of what we're trying to get at here in our podcast, we're not actually talking about hiding bodies. It's a metaphor. So we're talking about in a scenario which is fantasy land, if you were to hide a body, who would be the person that is with you that would keep that secret? Who is someone that is closest to you that has got your back, confides with you, and someone that you completely trust in 100% space, that it doesn't matter what you do or what you say, you've got someone with you that's got your back.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that definition. It's that total inner circle person, isn't it?
Yeah.
And realistically, when we think about who is really in that inner circle with us, you'll never have more than 5.
No.
You're lucky if you got 5. But I think the most common number from all the people I've talked about or talked with, 3. Most people have 3 that they can call on at any time of the day or night, and vice versa.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've got a hide the body buddy that, and once again, he knows who he is. He lives in regional Victoria. I can call him 24/7, and within minutes he'll be in a car heading down to me in Melbourne for any reason whatsoever. And that is a sort of guy that I consider to be hide the body buddy. Well, let me ask you, how many people do you know in your life, friends, acquaintances, people that you come across that, and I'm talking about judgment and judgment-free, in a difference of a hide the body buddy compared to someone else? What's the difference in someone who's judgmental versus maybe HTBB that I would perceive should be and would be a judgment-free person?
Great question. Of course, there's always judgmental people because perception is okay.
Yeah.
It's your journey, it's my journey. We have to have total respect for the fact that we're each on an individual path. And what we do as people may not resonate with anybody in particular. However, some people are going to judge because they don't understand, and some people are just going to go, that's really cool, and they're going to be your biggest supporters whether they believe in you or not. Believe in your cause or not, because they believe in you enough.
I like that. Do you think a hide the body buddy needs to agree with you, or do you think that they just have to respect your opinion or your actions or what you do? How do you see that?
I think that a hide the body buddy is someone that you can have those really tough discussions about going, I'm not really sure that this is a great step. However, if that's what you decide, you know that I will support your decision either way.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. Having a good hide the body buddy is someone in my world that I can have difficult conversations with, knowing that what they say back to me or what I say to them comes from a place of love and comes from a place of respect, where a lot of people I come across in my world, and you see it watching other conversations and not being part of it, somebody will say something and there's conflict with, how can you say that? I can't believe you did that. Why are you doing this? Because they want to exercise maybe a form of control to get someone to see it their way or do it their way. Where a hide the body buddy in my world is, okay, that's fine. If you want to do that, I still love you for it, respect you for it. It may not be what I do, but I get it.
And I also think because there's that honesty in the relationship, you can say, you need to pull that back a peg, because they're going to call you out on your crap.
Sure, as they should.
As they should.
You need to be called out on your crap.
You do.
And we all do, and that's a wonderful thing. So what we're going to do today is talk and move into a model that LJ and I have explored over the years, and it is pretty much based on spiral dynamics. For those of you that know that, and in other studies that we've done in other areas, it could be called the TRUSTME model. What it does is it identifies people in certain stages and levels of where they are at compared to others. So you get to know on this model where you are. It gives you an insight of where you want to be. And it also helps you for people that are working in team environments, group environments, relationships, friends, and even in business, which we can go into later. It gives you an idea of where other people are as well. So it helps you have insight and awareness to, is this person good for a leadership role? Is this person not good for a role they want to be in, or in a dynamic in a relationship? How is this person fitting in with us? And it's quite a powerful model, I think. LJ, what do you think?
I think it's a great model for all of those reasons, and also it gives you insight in how to have better conversations with people, because you can actually reach them on their level, which is really, really important, because we need to have an ebb and flow. Getting back to what we were talking about with the boats, our conversation should always have an ebb and flow about them as well. And
Sure.
It doesn't matter what religion, race, economic background you come from. I grew up believing that people are fascinating, and regardless of where they've come from in their world or what background, whether it be wealthy, poor, or indifferent, everybody has a perspective, And the better our conversations and matching where they're at to encourage them to engage with you, I think is a really powerful, such a powerful tool to be able to master. And it is a skill to master.
Absolutely, it is. And awareness is key here. So having a little bit of information or understanding about where you are on this model, or even other people, helps you be inclusive. It helps you also be further down the track of being judgment free, and that helps in all facets of relationships and business and other areas of your life. So I think, and I said this to you last week, LJ, that this is probably my go-to model that I like to use in so many areas, and we've got so many models that we can explore, which we will down the track in our gazillion podcasts that we're going to do. But this one was important, and I remember you said to me last week, let's do this one.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the other thing, like you asked me the question, we were talking about this model during the week, and you asked me a question about it. And the insight that I had not thought about was, where do I come from when I give people my trust?
Yeah.
I'm somebody who likes to trust everybody, and they work their way down the scale until that's it. Other people are very quick to kind of dismiss us because of lack of understanding, or they're very withdrawn with their trust because of whatever reasons they come from. So it's another beautiful way of going, do you start at the top and work your way down, or do you start at the bottom and work your way up?
Yeah.
There's no right or wrong, but the awareness of which way you choose to go, I think, is a really valuable insight from an interpersonal relationship too.
Yeah, I agree. It's funny talking to other people when I deliver this model, and even on one-on-one with people from sporting backgrounds all the way through to management and corporate, there seems to be a light bulb moment, and you get to see very quickly where they perceive themselves to be on this model. And we'll get into the components of it, but when you describe certain parts of the model, there's one moment where you'll see a shift in their physiology, or something will happen where you go, they see themselves here. And then they start to think about, where do I want to be? How do I get myself to the next level? It's interesting. And even at the lower end of the model down, which we'll get to very shortly, you see some people click on that, and then you have an awareness as to how they see themselves and how they have maybe little self-worth, or they have no belief in their value system, things like this. And other guys, you see them click higher up the model, quite towards the top of the model, and you can see that corresponds with their leadership skill and the way they may manage a team, or they may manage themselves. And it's interesting how people progress at different speeds and different stages in their life.
Absolutely. I really love, you have such an amazing ability for insight into this,
Thank you.
this model. And I really am grateful that you and I get to go through this together. Hearing you speak to different platforms, you always bring such value, and you always come from it from such a high position on the TRUSTME model, which I think is one of the reasons why this dynamic works, because we just have that.
Yeah, we do. Oh, thanks, LJ. It's something that you have to work on it yourself, and you have to self-assess and go through. And I know we can talk about pain versus pleasure sort of thing later, but you have to self-assess and do the hard conversation with yourself if you want to climb the model. Otherwise, you can just stay where you want to stay. And that's fine if you want to do that. But if you're looking for and I know Tony Robbins uses constant and never-ending improvement, he always refers to can I. I love it, and I love what he says there with, if you look at always looking at constant and never-ending improvement, this aligns with the TRUSTME model, because you want to climb the model until you get to the point where you've exhausted everything. You look back and say, look what I've created. And then you can jump off the model and jump back in again at the bottom with a new venture, a new sporting interest, a new hobby. And you go again. And it just revolves and revolves. And as you do that, you improve yourself. You improve your relationships around you. People see your leadership skills. And suddenly your life is just changing dramatically over a simple model that we are going to get into and talk about.
The metaphor, I love metaphors, as you know, and
Yeah, me too.
this model of perspective reminds me of landscaping your garden.
Yeah.
Because you're going to plant it, you're going to grow it, you're going to nurture it, you're going to trim it. You may change, replant, repot, but essentially you're creating a safe and happy environment that helps you flourish and helps those visitors to your garden appreciate what you've done and what you bring to the table.
I love that. You know what? This is one thing that you and I get along with so well is metaphors.
We're big metaphor people,
I
aren't we?
love metaphors. We're going to throw metaphors at all our listeners for the rest of their lives. There's going to be metaphor city here because I love it.
I love it too. Like last week we were talking about driving the car. So this week we're going to drive your car. We're going to teach you a navigational skill that we both know as the TRUSTME model. So Dave, would you, because this is such a passion project for you, I would love you to dive in deep. And if it's okay, I might ask some questions along the way.
Absolutely. Thanks, LJ. That's fantastic. Yes, please. So what I'm going to do is, we call it TRUSTME model because of where we studied and what we've done in the past. And I think there's going to be quite a large following of people that will know this as the TRUSTME model. But also in spiral dynamics, it's termed a bit differently, but I'm going to use both. Mm-hmm. So we can pick it apart and go there. So if you look at, for those, if you want to write down the page, if you have a piece of paper and a pen, you can write Trust Me, but start at the bottom of the page and write upwards. So T is at the bottom of the page, then R, then U, and S, T, and M, and E. The reason being for this model, the T in Trust Me is the low level of where we're at, or where some people are at, and the E is pretty much at the exit point. Fantastic. At the top. So if we begin with T, T is in the model for Trust Me is for trust, and in the spiral dynamics it's actually a survival. And what it means is at this point, if someone's at that level, they actually struggle to trust. They struggle to align themselves with anybody. They're a bit of a lone wolf, a loner. They do their own thing. Maybe they're at the point where you cannot tell me what to do. I will just do it my way. Don't talk to me. They don't want to engage, and they're not included in any other groups. And if these components resonate with you, please feel free to let it just marinate for a while, think about it, and then consider, okay, how am I going to move into the next part of the model if you want to do that? If you're happy where you are, then that's fantastic as well. So there's no compulsion to do anything here. It's just a bit of an awareness model. In the trust side of things, a person is learning to meet basic survival needs. They are developing basic instincts. They are limited in their cognitive growth. They either don't want to learn new skills and attitudes, or maybe even they don't know how to. So they're at the very bottom of the model where they are wary of pretty much everybody that comes across their bow. They are like almost if you want to use a trout underwater, a trout's wary of anything that comes along, whether it be a fishing lure, anything. They hide under a rock and they watch everything float past until they decide that they want to grab at something, and they'll grab at something. This is a similar sort of thing for someone at this level of the model. They lack trust for process, for people, and they actually don't know themselves either. And it's quite a low level to be at, but a lot of people are there as well.
It actually sounds like infancy too.
Yeah.
In terms of, you know, how you scream when you're hungry, you scream when you're wet, you know where your safety point is. But essentially in infancy, when you're that under one, it's complete survival.
Complete survival, it is. And it's the largest part of a person's focus because it's all they know. They're just looking at how to survive, and that's taking up a lot of their time at the moment. Yeah.
What's next?
So, in the Trust Me model, you're going up to R for in the Trust Me, or what they also call in spiral dynamics is tribal. R is for, well, you can go tribal, I guess, but it's where you become relating to other people, other groups. It's where you start to involve yourself in groups of people that are like you or that like you. So it's R means relatable. So, for example, if you're in a team, a football team, or in a small workplace group of people that actually like you or are like you, if someone comes along that's outside that dynamic, they're generally not accepted, or they may be shunned by this group that are in their relatability. So it's still low on the model. You may see it in large workplaces, for example. Let's say any workplace where you've got a large amount of employees, there may be the same table of people that sit together at lunch, and they're having a talk over lunch, they're laughing, they're joking. Somebody walks up to that table and suddenly the whole table will stop and look at this person. Hey, what do you want?
This level also reminds me a little bit of social media sometimes, and I know that we're on a social media platform.
Yep.
But I wanted to bring that up as a reminder to all of us, me included, that sometimes we can get caught up in the following the popular and not actually questioning whether it's for my own will and good.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because in this relatability stage, it is pretty much being in that insular group where you're not really accepting of anybody outside the group, which is quite low.
Yeah.
You want to move up at some point and realise that there's more to life than just being part of a group, that they almost keep you in the group themselves because of either peer group pressure, there's a common interest, there's something that spurs you to stay within that group, but everyone outside that group is excluded, and you don't grow either because you don't let yourself go outside the group. So you
Is it staying within the clique, really, isn't it?
It's definitely staying within the clique. So you've moved out of that initial stage of being in survival, and you've moved into learning to cooperate within small groups. You can call them a tribe if you like.
Or your first friendship groups, when you're in primary school and you're sort of working out that you like the same peanut butter sandwiches and you kind of dress the same, but you don't like that person because they've got braids in their hair, or they wear different shoes, or they don't eat peanut butter. It can be that kind of thing.
It can be. You develop a very basic tribal sense. So in this tribal sense, you might in that group have the same or similar type of rituals or traditions or beliefs or anything that keeps the group tight-knit.
Yep.
And if someone comes along that's outside the tribe and they have it or do it differently, they're looked upon differently. And because of that, there's no communication or little communication. There's no leadership. Unless you want to absorb yourself into the group and adopt their traditions or their beliefs, you're not really accepted. And that's
pretty sad, really, isn't it?
I think so. It
pretty
is
sad.
And it's common. It's very common
unfortunately,
in workplaces and relationships, in team sports. You will see sometimes.
Even inter-team sports. Like, I remember as a kid, there was kids that played soccer and there was kids that played Aussie rules.
Yeah.
But they both called it football. And the arguments would go like, mine's football, no, mine's football.
Yeah.
That just brought back a childhood memory. Thank you so much.
It did. You're welcome. And you've got, sometimes you may see a clique within the group, a clique of people that are in this relatability stage, that within a large group, there's a small group that either they like each other or they are like each other and everybody else is excluded. So it's a dynamic that most people will move out of, but some won't.
So how do I grow? If I'm in this spot, how do I grow into the next level, and what is the next level?
So next level is in the TRUSTME model, it's U for uniqueness, or in the spiral dynamics, it's egocentric. So moving into this model is work that you have to do yourself. And it's a self-assessment and an awareness that now you don't want to be part of the group because you want to develop your own beliefs. You want to have your own individual desires and needs. There's things that you want to do yourself that may not align with the group that you've been in. So what people do is they look at themselves and say, I would like to do this now. I would like to be here or go there. And so they start to move out of that group of relatability. there's great things about that, because now they're becoming an individual. They're looking at asserting themselves as someone who's got their own belief systems and their own values. The downside, if there's a downside, the downside is they may cop some sort of rebound from the group they've just left, because the group wants people to stay in the group and to stay with them. So there may be comments made about, why are you doing this, and you're leaving us, you're letting us down. There could be abuse, there could be any form of recourse on this, because someone's decided to further themselves, and really they're breaking free.
Is that like the tall poppy syndrome?
Yeah.
That's what's coming to mind as I'm listening to you.
It's definitely like tall poppy, and it could be seen by the group as someone is achieving success. They're doing better than what the group is doing, or they just want to do their own thing, and they're breaking from, inverted commas, they're breaking from the traditions or the beliefs of the group, which is the commonality of the group. It is tall poppy syndrome. So what happens, especially in Australia, in tall poppy syndrome, what happens when that occurs?
Oh, ostracisation. It takes a really strong person to be able to walk away from that with confidence, which brings me to another question. I actually believe that this is where the real work begins, and yet it's hard, it's confrontational. We're not always equipped at that time when we go through it for the first time to really dive in deep and have that confidence and competence to know who we are. It's almost a stage, what feels like it's a stage that we come back to because we skip it. We don't really get to know ourselves to the level that we possibly could the first time round.
Yeah, 100%. That's a great comment, because in moving into the uniqueness or egocentric side of the model, people are starting to develop self-confidence. And the important thing about this one is they are developing self-expression. So in relatability, there's little self-expression. It's like somebody says the sky is blue and the group goes, yeah, the sky's blue. Yeah, good one, mate. If someone says the sky is dark blue, no, mate, it's blue.
Music choices in the teenagers. How many kids well, I'm not up with all the modern music. However, some people like country, some people like rock, some people like opera.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm not sure if I told you this story. I had a guy that I used to work with years ago that did not like the colour green.
No.
Yeah, so I would turn up to work in green, and he would be upset. Take your top off. I don't like green. I don't do green. And he would get upset at me, and I'd say, I like my green top. I've got a green hoodie. I love it. And he was really angry. Take your green top off. I don't like it. Where for me, I was already in U for uniqueness. I had a sense of self-expression. And of course, you can wear any colour you like. But for him, he was in a relatability group with a lot of guys that were relatable. As soon as I was moving out of that group and I did something a little bit different, it was noticed, and I was pulled up on that. So there is a tendency for some people that haven't found their feet yet in this part of the model where they may slide back into relatability again, so they don't argue or get into any sort of issues with the group. But eventually, if they've got that awareness, they'll move out of that and into uniqueness, and they'll stay there because it's where they want to be. It's a confidence thing. So it's challenging. You will get a little bit of pushback at times, and you will find out who your friends are. Definitely.
Yeah. Definitely. I think you would agree that it would be so wonderful that this sort of model was more available to teenagers, so that when they hit this point, because we hit it originally in our early teens. Yeah. We start with the rebellion. It's usually when the frontal lobe switches off. But unless we're surrounded with people who have the tools to help us walk through it, so that we do get to know ourselves and our resourcefulness, our resilience, stand up with confidence and competence to say, it's okay. This is normally the first time we possibly fail ourselves. And we don't actually get back up from that until we're much older and much more down the track, where we have that opportunity to now say, well, I actually have the skills and the resources and the hide the body buddies that I can actually start to explore this.
Yeah.
Because for me to move forward, and I want to move forward, the work has to be done. And this is when I think there's a bit of a buzzword around at the moment, do the work.
Yeah.
This is the level I think that we all need to do the work.
100%. That's a really great insight, LJ. The you and the TRUSTME model, or egocentric and spiral dynamics, that is the entry level for people that want to move into a leadership role. Whether it be leadership in their own lives or whether it be leadership in sport, work. So an example of that is if you look at a football club. Let's look at a junior football team, maybe teenagers, and you have a team captain and a team vice captain. Because of where they're at and what they are doing, they are generally moving out of relatability into uniqueness. They're moving out of the group pack mentality into being confident, having their own decision-making processes, taking a leadership role, self-expressing, everything that the you represents in a TRUSTME model or egocentric in the spiral dynamics. It's not for everybody. And there will be guys down still in relatability that look at, let's go the team captain in a football club, for example, and they will be put out by that. He's moved up the line, he's doing this, he's doing that, and the tall poppy syndrome kicks in. The great thing about it is there's also a group of people in relatability that see what this person has done to move into uniqueness, and they follow that lead.
Oh, that's like mentorship, isn't it?
Like mentorship, and they look at him and say, I would like to be like that, and I would like to also do this, and suddenly one person's shift and their lead creates a ripple effect.
Yes.
And now you've got other people moving into uniqueness.
Modelling at its best.
Modelling at its best, absolutely. So there's always a positive, it's not always just negative, but I like to use the football club because I know that there's a large amount of relatability in football teams.
Sure.
Yeah. And then you get a leadership. Interestingly, in higher levels of football up towards AFL, they now have a leadership team within the club, within the team itself. So it's not just the captain and the vice captain, there's a leadership team, and they are trained and mentored by those in the club to provide confidential advice. They provide everything you need to give you support, care, anything that you need to provide for your team. So they are now moving people, not just a captain in a club, say AFL, they're moving a whole group of people into uniqueness and above, which has a huge flow and effect to the guys in relatability, and that equals performance.
Absolutely, because it gives them a pathway out.
Yeah.
And it also helps them to say it's okay to step up and step into the next phase.
Yeah. So moving the next model up from there, we go into, in the TRUSTME model, it's S, which is sustainability, or in the spiral dynamics, it's authoritarian. This is solidifying where you're at as a leader, as an individual in your life. So where there might have been a few cracks in you, worrying about, I'm moving out of relatability and I may be under attack here. When you move into the S part of the model in TRUSTME, you are certainly good to go. You have no doubts whatsoever that you've got leadership. You know where you want to be. You know where you want to head. And you can certainly stand your ground amongst other people, and your direction is assured. You've got goals. You've made plans. You know that in a certain amount of time, this is going to happen for you. So you're a lot more solid in where you are as a person and where you want to be.
Would you say that that's more a consolidation of competence?
Yeah, I would. So a lot of it is, if you have self-awareness and you look at yourself and say, okay, right now I'm not happy with this that's happening in my life, but let's look at something else, and that is going really, really well for me. In being in the S part of the TRUSTME model, you then make plans and set goals so everything is going well for you, or as much as you can to be going well for you, you learn the importance of order and structure, and to a point a bit of obedience or compliance, which is especially in a workplace. One important thing about all this is you develop, which you don't have that much of down the lower part of the scale, is you develop a moral and ethical framework.
Super important.
Yeah.
These would be the skills that are taught at, I guess, basic boot camp.
Yep.
When the young guys go off to, and females now as well, when they go off to boot camp, they're given that platform where it's pride in self. Self-respect, self-trust, and then extension to the team. If one fails, all fail.
Yep.
That's the picture that comes when I'm listening to you go through this model, and it's really nice to reflect on seeing those live examples of how that model is provided. Whether you agree with it or not, there are opportunities for you to explore that with support.
Yeah, 100%. And I like what you said, when one fails, all fail. That's really accurate, actually. And I wonder if in a large environment or a group environment, sporting teams, and I'm big on sport and high performance. If one fails, all fail. And that's really true. And that's why you need people like in the S part of the TRUSTME model, that at this point they should be a well-informed, well-educated and competent leader. In a workplace, you would think someone in S would be around about middle management. And
they've
be able
met their
to,
stripes.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
but I think more importantly that they're also reaching behind and bringing the next person behind them.
Yep.
It's not just about a solo journey when you're at that level. You really need to be making sure you're modelling excellence, making sure that you are creating standards and efficiencies and helping the next person through.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and that's a great point, because at that level, especially if you look at business or even in sport with leadership teams, at this level as a manager or a leader, you want to be developing succession plans, where if you go further down the model back to the start, that's not even a factor in someone's life because they're too busy worrying about where they want to be and where they're at. So this is launching them into having a greater awareness of other people as well, which is great leadership skill for business and sport.
But even if we take it back to the family unit, there's a multitude of families. Some have a couple of kids, some have one child. If you're, say, a family of 2 or more children and you're the eldest, this is almost your responsibility as an oldest, is to guide and model for your younger siblings and to actually help them navigate the shortfalls and the journey that you have, that you've taken, so that they can learn through what worked for you and what didn't work for you. It doesn't mean that they have to follow your path exactly, but it's a really nice way of modelling. Yeah,
absolutely. Absolutely. We could pick this apart.
Oh, so much.
You could do like a whole day on this, really, couldn't you? So, and I love your insight, because how I see things is different to how you see things because of your journey where you've been in business and things that you've done. And it's great to combine the both, and you come up with pretty much a similar concept and similar answers, which I find that great.
We have a great synergy, we really do.
Yeah, we do. Was it you were S?
We're S. So
right to S.
How do I grow to, because not everybody's going to want to get to the top levels, and that's okay. And that will be because of goal orientation, desire, knowledge, ambition. There'll be a number of reasons why people prefer not to take a step forward, but then there's so many people who do lovingly, and I'm so in awe of the people that take a step into the next level, which is another T, isn't it?
It is. So it's T for tenacity. So far I've got TRUS and T for tenacity, which is in the TRUSTME model, and in the spiral dynamics, it's the achievist. So tenacity is a really great place to be if you are in high-level management, high-level leadership, and it means that you're so entrenched in what you do and how you do it that people follow your lead. They respect where you're at as well. It is a level where you start and you consolidate your strategic thinking. So strategic thinking at that level as well as critical thinking is so important, because you're now not just thinking about yourself and your progression, you're thinking about the collective.
I was going to say, it's so much more than that, isn't it?
Yeah, there's so much more in that. And so now you're thinking about a lot of people that may be under your arm for leadership skills, or you're thinking of groups and with a strategy in mind for a success.
And I know Simon Sinek is very critical of this level, because as business, and let's just use business for example because it's probably the most relatable, traditionally in business, not all leaders actually are leaders.
Yeah.
Just because you reach a position doesn't necessarily mean you are a leader. The definition that Simon gives of a leader is somebody who takes care of those in your charge.
Yeah, yeah.
Because if you want to identify the leader in a company, ask them who their go-to person is.
100%.
That's where the trust is.
Yep.
That's where when the chips are falling not exactly 100%, who does the team rely on for support, inspiration, answers, motivation? That person, and they don't have to be in a level of leadership in management, but that is a leader there, somebody who looks after people in their care.
That is so true, LJ. I worked with a guy years ago that was a little bit despondent because he didn't get a position he was applying for. And he acknowledged that there was someone who was more qualified to get this spot. But he was a bit down about it, as you would be, because he wanted to climb the ladder, and he eventually did. He got to where he wanted to be. But one thing I challenged him with a while ago was, I said to him, you do not have to be a leader to show leadership.
100%.
So I said, just take it away, think about it for a while, let it just sink in, and tell me what comes up in you when you think about that next time we talk. And he loved it. And it changed the way he was in the workplace, from being a little bit despondent, a little bit down in the mouth, to actually he was mentoring people. He was giving advice. He was performing at a good level, purely because he changed his mindset to, you do not have to be a leader or the leader to show leadership. And the spin-off to that was the leader that got the promotion loved what he did because he was taking initiative, working within parameters and boundaries that the leader wanted, of course, but together as a team, they were achieving amazing things, and it changed his life around just based on one line.
I really love that story, because a real leader will develop other leaders.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
There's a theory, actually it's not a theory, but I've had this conversation with people in high-level management outside of any management that I've ever been in, and it's always about creating the leaders below you to make yourself, obsolete.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you can do that, then you've done your job.
You have, because there's progression as time goes on, and you need to bring people up below you as well as improve yourself. Part of the... And
sideways too, to the left and to the right.
Laterally.
Just, you don't have to go hierarchically. I can't even say that word. But it's actually an all-encompassing, because a business, a family unit, a community, a sporting team is never up and down.
Yeah.
There's always people up, down, and to both sides.
Yeah. Always.
So you can show leadership in all directions should you choose to. And I hope you do. I hope everybody chooses to, because there's so much beautiful learning that comes out of really wanting to engage in that space.
There is, and part of this the tenacity, there's a spin-off to that as well on a personal level. And at this level, a lot of people are already committed and strong leaders in what they do, but they also they want to develop a focus on their own personal success and achievement. So they want to keep moving forward. They educate themselves further. They develop growth and innovation. They have huge goal setting plans, and that's one big thing from people lower in the model to guys higher up the model is their goal setting and their competition. They certainly want to move forwards themselves, and they take care of that themselves instead of relying on other people to push them along. They may have mentors, they may have people that give them education and awareness along the way, but their own personal drive is so strong that they are now shakers and groovers in their own right, and they are now the master of their own universe.
So massively high counts of accountability.
Yeah. And if they succeed, they celebrate and reward themselves. If they don't, they go back, create a new strategy, and they try again. Where people down in the lower part of the model don't do that.
Love that. Great analogy. Great differentiation too.
Yeah. So it's...
so we're nearly at the top of this tree, aren't we?
We are.
So what's next?
So M in the TRUSTME model is for meaning, and it's pretty much for guys that have achieved what they want to achieve, and they look back on their life, they look back at what they've created and say, what's the meaning of all this? What has it given me? What are the experiences I've got out of this? So they've climbed the model, they've looked at everything below them, they've got succession plans, they've got people that they've mentored, they've created magnificent things in their life. And this could be as wonderful as family, for example. Paid their house off, and they've finished their job, and they've got their super coming through, they've got children, grandchildren, or whatever they've got, world trip every year, whatever it is. They look back and say, I'm pretty happy with what I've done and what I've got, and they reflect and they look at all of their experiences in their life. And as you know, and we've talked about this, that life is about creating experiences.
100%.
Experiences are a wonderful thing. So meaning for that is when they start to reflect, and a lot of people that move into meaning are ones that are looking at either exiting work or a sporting organisation, retiring from an endeavour, and going into a slower paced phase of their life because they've achieved, and now it's time to look back and admire what they've done.
I think that it can... people can reach this stage a little bit earlier too.
Yeah.
Would you say that this also links to a person's purpose? That if you're authentically living true to your values and your purpose, that you don't have to wait till you're 65, 70 to say, I've got meaning in my world. Some people can reach this in their 20s. How lucky and blessed are they to be able to do that? I wish I was one of those people. Some in their 30s, some in their 40s, some in their 50s. Would you agree with that meaning is also linked to fulfillment of purpose?
There's a great question. Absolutely. I totally agree with you. That's fantastic. Meaning doesn't mean that it's over. Meaning doesn't mean that I'm going towards the end of my life now and I'm just going to put a blanket over my legs and puree my steak. So
thanks for that vision.
That doesn't taste that good. No, but you're right. Meaning can be. You can have meaning at any stage in your life, and it doesn't just indicate work purpose. It could be anything. It could be a pursuit in a hobby, or it could be a pursuit in a sporting organisation, or it could be anything at all. It could be the way you developed your Zen garden, your vegetable patch. You get to the point where you have meaning. It could be anything. You look back and go, I'm surveying this, and it is just wonderful. What happens is towards the top of the model, and we've got one to go, is that you can jump out of this model and go back and start again near the bottom and work your way up again with another pursuit, another interest, another job, another sporting hobby, anything really. You don't just curl your toes up and die. It just means that you can start again and use the model to climb the ladder back again with growth, learning, advancement, awareness, leadership, self-discipline, the whole lot.
It's almost reaching a peaceful state, isn't it?
Yeah.
Meaning.
Yeah.
You mentioned Zen garden. That
You and I like Zen gardens.
We do like Zen gardens.
We do.
We do like
we
Zen
love
gardens.
Zen gardens. So it's a reflective stage.
That's a great terminology. I love that.
Yeah. So it's pretty much near the top. So the last one we have in our TRUSTME model is E, and E sort of tags along with the meaning, and it's evaluation. So you evaluate where you've been, what you've done, and most importantly, what next. So in life is strategy. Everything you do in your life is strategy. When you drive your car, you create a strategy of where you're going to go, the roads you're going to take, how you're going to drive your car. It's all strategy. Everything you do, from what you're going to wear to making your breakfast, anything you do, you create a strategy. And this is such a habit now that people don't realise that they're just creating strategy all day long. Until a big ticket item comes along and they say, I've got to make a plan.
Yeah.
I've got to create a strategy. But you're doing it all day long without even thinking about it. It's unconscious. So when you get to the E and evaluate, it is, what have I done and how did it work out for me? But now, what is my next strategy?
I love that.
Yeah.
And also, would you consider and possibly have a different perspective based on strategies and TRUSTME, that sometimes when we're faced with different situations, we can go through the TRUSTME really quickly in like that much time.
Yeah.
And other times it's a slow burn.
It is, yeah. And both ends of the scale are great.
Lots of learning in both ends.
There's lots of learning, which isn't that fantastic? And it revolves. It comes back around to where you want to jump back in again for your next venture or something you want to do. A lot of people that go straight down the spiral dynamics side of life, they have a bit of a holistic approach to the end of the model, towards the meaning and the evaluation. So
I think that's more a broader perspective, because part of our learning in the journey and trusting and creating awareness, as you've talked us through the whole model, and thank you so much for your insights today and being able to take us through this. The top of the ladder in that holistic you were just mentioning, it's like standing on the top of the hill at the scenic lookout and you can just see for miles. Your perspective is so much broader than what it is at the bottom of the hill.
Yeah, spot on. It's huge, and I like that analogy. I like how you do that. It's fantastic, and it's very holistic. It's like, and what you say is, a lot of people in the spiral dynamic side of life, it's learning to see the interconnectedness of all things. It's developing a sense of global unity and spiritual awareness, which is, it sounds deep, but it's not that deep. It's just having that awareness of there's a growth in collaborative and transcendent thinking, and the big thing I like is there's a concern for the well-being of all living beings. It's at that point you get to the pointy end of the scale. You look back and you are part of it all.
It's all encompassing, isn't it?
It is, the whole lot, and that brings a lot of peace, a lot of happiness, a lot of contentedness in your life. And then from there you can create strategy and say, okay, what's my next venture? And you jump.
Yeah.
And when you jump, you go back down the bottom of the model, but because you've experienced the TRUSTME phase and from start to finish, you don't necessarily go back to T, trust, or R, relatability, in the small part of the group. Well, I think if you go back, you may go back to relatability for a small bit, because you might join a group or people that you need to know how something works. So you may be in that relatable group for a small phase, but my guess is, and I've seen it before, people move into uniqueness pretty quickly because they've been there before, and they develop. And you may have seen it with sporting groups or another group where someone joins something and within 3 or 4 months they're on the committee.
I'm thinking of monkey bars. You can either take them one at a time, or you can do the twos, or you can do the threes if your arms are long enough. Like, that's something we aspired to as a kid. It didn't matter whether you were a boy or a girl, to be able to do twos and threes on the monkey bars and have the swing and be able to just hook across.
Yeah.
That's like a linear TRUSTME model, because sometimes you'll be able to do the 3s and sometimes you'll go, oh, it's a wet today, so I might only take it one at a time depending on what group you're on.
I was just thinking of wet monkey bars. It's showing our age because they're steel ones, big wet steel monkey bars.
Big wet steel monkey bars.
But it's so true. And people move into that uniqueness pretty quick.
And I think the holistic perspective also is the ability to see those 3 rungs ahead, but be current and present with the situation.
Yeah, it is. And it's the awareness they develop from going through the model previously accelerates them to go through the model again.
Yeah.
When they do it next time around, which is interesting because they then move up the model maybe quicker, but the people in relatability are not overly happy with that because they progress quickly. So, for example, I know a sporting organisation where a guy came in to the committee and you could see he was a business owner, very successful, and he went through the model fairly quickly until he was on the committee, and within 12 months he was president. And then from there he left and joined a board of directors that was relative to the organisation. So with under 18 months, he's gone right through up to sustainability, tenacity.
Leapfrogged his way through.
All the way through.
Yeah.
And because he knew where he wanted to be, he created strategy to get there. He kept educating himself with regulations, rules, process, as well as showing leadership in the organisation. And there were guys on the committee that were in relatability that didn't really like it, but he was so confident about himself and what he did and what he could offer to this organisation, he just kept going.
Yeah.
And then suddenly he's well respected and he's doing very, very well. But he'd been through the TRUSTME model before, so second time around he did it a little bit quicker. He streamlined his process, and when he's had enough of this and he goes through the meeting and towards the end of it and evaluates and jumps into something else, he'll just do that again.
I've loved today. Thank you so much
Hasn't
for
it
your
been
shares. A little bit longer today. I hope that everybody has found this beneficial. One thing that I'd love to stress, and I know, Dave, you share my thoughts on this, that it doesn't matter where you are on the TRUSTME model. There's always learning opportunities, growth opportunities. It's okay to be where you're at when you're at. Absolutely.
There's no pressure from anyone except yourself. And you don't have to put pressure on yourself. You just have to have an awareness of where you are, where you want to be. And there's no race, there's no speed. And what did you said last podcast? You said something about it doesn't matter the speed you travel, it's something.
Oh, the turtle's journey.
Turtle,
I'm a big turtle journeys. And yes, I like a turtle journey with a Nike tick on its back because I love Nike's philosophy of just do it. And the turtle's journey is in the parable of the hare and the tortoise. And if you haven't heard it, look it up. That I always say to people, who won that race?
Yeah.
So, Dave, who won the race out of the tortoise and the hare?
That was the tortoise.
The tortoise. And how did he do it?
Slow and steady.
And consistency.
Yeah.
And vision and passion to just keep putting one foot in front of the other, regardless of whether there was a stick in the road, a hole in the road. It was consistency and passion to just believe in the journey.
100%. Yeah, I like the tortoise thing because that's me.
I think if I ever got a tattoo, that would be my thing. A turtle with a Nike tick. Too much information. Sorry, people. I hope you've enjoyed this as much as we have. We would love to hear from you. We have a contact us on our website. Please drop us a line. Let us know what you loved about it. Let us know if there's anything specific, questions that you'd like to explore more. We are so passionate about what we do at all levels, and it doesn't matter where you are on the TRUSTME model, we are here for you.
Absolutely. So feel free, please jump on the website, www.coachtalk.com.au.
Or the Facebook page. Or email.
Insta or email.
You can email us at admin@coachtalk.com.au.
Yep, you can. And we'll get back to you. If there's something you would like us to discuss or talk about or research for you, please let us know. We're more than happy. And also we have a list of guest speakers we are going to use.
So excited for
Yeah,
Dave.
we've got some guys coming along that are going to be fantastic.
And some beautiful women too.
We have.
We use guys collectively, which we probably shouldn't, but that's us. We speak that way, don't we?
No, are you? I'm not really PC. Are you PC?
Not as PC as I probably could be.
We probably should be more PC. But how about people?
I think we're just raw people.
Yeah.
We're real people.
So we have people coming from all over the place. But if you would like to be a speaker with us and you have something you would like to share that we can use in a coaching space, drop us a line and let's get in touch and have a talk to you and see what we can do there. And,
Absolutely.
So
because you never know when your story will inspire and change the world of somebody else. Now, you may never know them, but that's how it usually works.
That's what it's all about.
100%. Dave, thank you so much for today. I have loved going through this with you. Your insights to take us through this model have been amazing.
Thank you, LJ. It's been a good one. I enjoy talking to you. This is my go-to model. I love it. And, we could talk for hours and hours on this. So thank you for your time. Everybody, if there's anything you need, contact us. Say good day. Happy to have a chat. And we, LJ and I, will talk to you at the next podcast, number
3. Thank you so much.
Talk to you then. All the very best.
Take care.
You too. See you. Bye.
Bye.